Hey guys, what's going on? Jake here, and welcome back to another episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode. Today we are doing the Mexican Grand Prix. So Mexico is normally a track where I really struggle with race pace and tyre temperatures, and especially on this game, tyre temperatures are crazy. But we did a practice race around here, we managed to get a podium in the Haas, so, you know, there is a chance that we do well in this race, but we'll have to wait and see what we can do, but it's all going to have to start with a good qualifying session. So we managed to get a good bit of practice done, and then we're going to work into the quick sim of the sessions. Obviously, we don't do them. We just do the race strategy one, get that all done on the track, just to get used to the car at that certain circuit, and then we simulate the other two sets of objectives. So, yeah. We are now getting towards the end of practice 3 simulation, having something fail on us twice. No, not twice. 3 times. And then I decided, I only have time to do the 25% success. And we were able to do it. So, in the end, we did somehow manage to get all of our objectives done, which is nice. And it gives us the maximum amount of R&D, which is going to be 390, I'd like to say. Yeah, 390. It puts us up to 721, which we will spend after the race weekend. But it's straight into qualifying, no dilly-dallying. In Q1 here, it's a formality at this point that both myself and Hulkenberg get out of Q1. If we didn't, especially with the, 6th quickest car guaranteed, nowhere near the bottom 4, but not quite touching distance, like we're touching distance away from the top 5. But Aston Martin are hit and miss every now and again. Because Stroll seems to clearly be unfocused and not hitting the targets or the heights and the targets that Alonso is. So coming through the final corner for this first lap in Q1, it is going to end up being a 1:15 flat, which isn't awful. It puts us only 16 thousandths off Perez at the time, but by the end of the session, Verstappen and Leclerc both go quicker, and we end up P4, which for just one lap isn't too bad. Into Q2 this time though, I think we had a little bit of a mare in the previous corner, but I think this could still be quicker. However, we are really struggling through this middle sector. Like, we are just ragdolling the car through. We even cut the corner a little bit, but with the amount of time we lost earlier on, it's not actually going to make an overall difference. Into the final sector we go. This is especially a struggle for me, even in qualifying, as you can spin on this corner no matter what, but we managed to grip it up quite nicely. Coming around the final corner now to set a final lap in Q2. Hopefully we can get through on one lap and save us some extra tyres. It's a 14.7 and the quickest. But we were quickest at the time, but once again Charles Leclerc beats us by the smallest of margins, only half a tenth quicker than us. But that was a really close session between the top 4, including the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. So maybe Aston Martin suit this track and they're coming back. But in the first lap of Q3, we make an absolute hash of the first corner. So by the end of the lap, it's only going to be P10 for us, and it's a really, really poor lap. So we need to improve on the second lap, which you guys are going to see in full with no voiceover. And we attack that lap like we've never attacked a lap before. 1.6 seconds, 3 purple sectors, which means it's going to be pole position. And that looked like a 1:13.9, I believe it was. What a what? I know we cut a couple corners in the first couple, but I would have been like maybe 2 temps. We still would have got pole by 3 tenths, but we end up getting it by 5.5 tenths. But obviously, we're not going to be able to rag the car around like that in the race because, you know, your tyres are going to overheat and we're going to spin, we're going to have issues, and yeah. But for the race, Nico is starting P16. He did get knocked out in Q1, which is disappointing for him. And we are going to start on pole position with Carlos Sainz 5 tenths lower in qualifying, just behind us. But yeah, the strategy is very simple. It's going to be a medium hard. We're not going to risk a 2-stop. We can make that. We'll probably end up making that stop earlier as well if we can, because the undercut is very overpowered around this circuit. So here we are. We need a good grid slot because this is a long run down to turn 1. If we don't get a good grid slot, then we are going to have a trouble down the long run to turn 1. Let's line it up nicely. Okay, we're in trouble. Poor grid start. We are further back than everyone else. We're almost level with Sainz already off the line, and it's 5 red lights, and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix, and we are getting jumped. We're getting jumped. Oh, Perez is gone, Sainz is gone, Alonso's gone, Stroll's on his way through. Verstappen's coming, Leclerc's coming, but there's a gap around the outside here. We need to send it around the outside. We managed to, well, we almost pushed Leclerc through, but we managed to go sailing around his outside. Somehow, no damage. We're going to send it up the inside, cut the curb a little bit. There's almost 4 wide there, and it's just an absolute struggle at the minute as Verstappen slides, and so does Leclerc, and it's going to give us an opportunity to maybe slide through the middle and maybe reclaim at least P4 for the moment, and I think we will end up, but the clip does end, but I think we do, as now lap 2, Leclerc just comes sailing around our outside, and here comes Max Verstappen. We're just going to have to send it to try and keep this position. We almost hit the back of Leclerc, but it ends up being an absolute lovely dive bomb in the end, and we managed to get the car slowed down, and we managed to keep P5, but now we're going to try work with Leclerc, try stay ahead of him, we'll try stay with him, and try DRS train maybe back to the leaders, or at least try keep myself in this battle for P4. And we have pulled away from Verstappen because he would have attacked us if we didn't use overtake. And we're getting really aggressive with Charles Leclerc. We're getting really aggressive. Loads of banging of the tyres. As I said last episode, we are done with Ferrari. We're not taking any orders from Ferrari. We're not going to lie down and let Ferrari bully us. We are a good team now. We don't need Ferrari. I'm either going to stay at Haas if they cut ties with Ferrari, or I'm going to move off to a different team. But we make a mistake there, and sliding through goes Leclerc and also the reigning world champion Max Verstappen. Both of them two have gone sailing up the road now on lap 4. We now have pressure from us, or on us, from the 7-time world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton. And we need to push through this middle sector to try get DRS after the S section. Here, Hamilton's just behind us. We've got Leclerc and Verstappen just there. We run a little bit wide there, which isn't going to help us in our quest for DRS. And we have now dropped out of the second of Leclerc. All of that work for nothing. We still have a bit of ERS that we could use to maybe get it on the main straight. We're coming through the middle sector now. We can take that right-hander. But we have I don't even know what that was, but we span. That is huge. That is a huge mistake. The tyres are burning. We've got to wait for them to cool down, and we are not going to be able to drive this car into the pit lane. The tyres are cooked. Like, look at them tyre temperatures. There's nothing we can do. Look at the tyre temperatures. We cannot cool them down. We are now 5 seconds now, 6 seconds off the back of Logan Sargent, and there's nothing else we can do but pit. We've got to now go onto hard tyres and try do the most mega hard stint, long hard stint we've ever done in our lives if we're going to have any chance of getting anything from this race. Even points at this point is very, very unlikely because we've dropped so much time. We've dropped like 8 seconds to the point scorers. So we've now got to do an undercut worth over 8 seconds, and as well, we've got to make up the pit stop time already with these guys who are probably still quite quick on these mediums. The difference won't be that high. And on lap 14, the tyre wear, we've been on these tyres now for 10 laps. 10 laps of nothingness, and they've only gone up 13%, which isn't too bad. And we're trying to keep the tyre pressures under control, because if the tyres overheat, we're going to be in trouble. But now the first round of pit stops are coming. This is going to give us a good gauge of whereabouts we're going to be compared to our rivals. As I said, we don't have a lot of race pace here, so we need to maybe be with a front-running car, but it looks like we're going to be around about where Esteban Ocon is there, which isn't amazing. And we're 4 seconds behind Norris. We lose 6 tenths in that lap, which isn't actually awful, but Ocon was able to get within DRS range, which is going to be curtains for this position. And we have now jumped ourselves up after all of the cars have pit only to P11, which means because of our lack of race pace, points are going to be impossible. We're now battling for a P11 and the wooden spoon, and hoping that that a front runner retires from this Grand Prix and gifts us a lucky point. That is all we can hope for now. but we need to defend from Ocon. Maybe we should have tried to let Ocon through so we could re-overtake him on the straight, but we're not thinking straight. We are annoyed with the spin, we are annoyed with the strategy, we're annoyed that we're nowhere near the points and not having fun battling at the front. We're now scrapping for P11 and the wooden spoon with Tsunoda and Ocon, so let's see what we can do. Tsunoda keeps it down the inside, we're going to let Ocon through, but Tsunoda, we're going to squeeze him out and try and keep ourselves in P12. We're going to try stick with Ocon though, but by the time the dust has settled, not only Ocon but Bottas somehow managed to get through, and now we're under pressure from a whole different heap of other drivers, including Daniel Ricciardo, who has overtaken us now. Into P13 goes Ricciardo, but we're going to come back around the outside looking to reclaim our P13, and we do manage to do so. But we almost spin again. The tyre temperatures are really, really struggling at the minute. I think that is a thing, trying to show you the tyre temperatures. I don't know if you just about see it, but the tyres are absolutely cooked. The ERS was struggling on it, and we're just battling for our lives now for P13. P11's gone. Any chance of points is gone in this race, unless there's a safety car. We've just now got to actually hope for that safety car, and we've got a long train to the back of the grid behind us. We are so slow right now. There's not really much we can do, but we managed to defend successfully there. This race has been miserable. We've been getting attacked on that straight. Verstappen's now at the Grand Prix, so if we were in P11, we would be able to get points right now, and that's the second race in a row Verstappen's retired. But yeah, we get swarmed again on the next straight, obviously. No straight line speed, DRS is overpowered, slipstream is overpowered. We go into the back of Albon, but no damage. Trying to just maybe find a way through our teammate and Albon, but they're just slowing us up a little bit. We're going to have to try and make a pass on the main straight, but this race is getting so boring now. We're just dropping back and back, and I've had enough. Yeah, that's how well this race went for me. I just couldn't do it. I was just so bored, and yeah, I was just struggling. It was a horrible race to drive, and rest assured, the Mexican Grand Prix will not be on the calendar next season, and that is a fact. So we retire from the Grand Prix. We felt ill in the car, so we couldn't compete. There was no points on the table anyway. Hulkenberg ended up almost getting 11th, almost getting that extra point, but we did probably slow him down to the point where he couldn't catch up with Ocon, which is my bad. And yeah, another 1-2 for Ferrari. I do actually have the updated points, but that's going to be in the next episode. But if you look at the points from last episode, and then another Ferrari 1-2 and another Leclerc win, this championship is starting to spice up. So it's going to be interesting. But something else that is interesting, driver market rumours. Apparently, Aston Martin are struggling to reach their targets this season. So I'm not sure whether that means that they're not a good team, or they're not developing well, or if that's a thing about maybe Stroll being not very good and they want to replace him. But talking about Aston Martin, they are here for their final meeting with us. Let's see what Aston Martin are going to show us. Here we go, Mike Crack. Our hopes. They're going to want to pair me with Fernando Alonso. Daddy Stroll is getting rid of his son. This is what I wanted. I wanted to partner Fernando Alonso and create a really good team with them. I think there's a very good chance of us joining Aston Martin next season, guys. A very, very good chance. Mike Crack, you've got me sold, mate. I'm very optimistic. Very, very optimistic now for the future. Aston Martin are still there and thereabouts with the front-running teams as well. And it's a race-to-race thing of who's winning Grand Prix between them. And now Haas are joining that group. But myself and Hulkenberg, well, Hulkenberg's AI is not good enough to be up there. We'd have to have the quickest car for Hulkenberg to be fighting for wins, because his AI is just not good enough for that. So, but someone's AI who is good enough to win races is Fernando Alonso's. So I'm very optimistic for the future. So let's hope that we do join Aston Martin next season and that they still actually want us. But after those technically two DNFs on the game, but after a P5 and something else, like just DNFing last race, they might be turned away from us. But next race, guys, Sao Paulo Grand Prix, a lot more optimism for that race. Very, very, it's going to be a battle. It's going to take some smart racecraft and some great driving. So I'm very excited, and I'll see you all next time.